All right, good afternoon, everybody. I guess at this point, everybody is in the afternoon. It's 3 o'clock East Coast. My name is Curtis Rombaugh. I am with the Department of Defense, and I serve on the CFC Foundation Board. So I want to thank you very much for being part of this training program, and we hope that you found a lot of value in it. Before we start the next session, I just have a couple reminders I want to put out there. One is that we will have the Q&A breakout sessions, as you heard earlier. So that will start at 4 o'clock. And you'll have a chance to meet with the presenters from our previous session on volunteerism, as well as the presenters from the upcoming session on events, depending on which one you are interested in. But we've also added a third session because many of you had asked to see the CFC giving system because it's a mystery to you if you're on the charity side. We are going to have a demo of that. So that will be a third option at 4 o'clock. So we hope you will stay online and join us for one of those. Also, if you have any technical questions about your account, your CFC charity account, please reach out directly to the Central Campaign Administrator at support@cfccharities.org. Now, our next session really underscores the importance of holding CFC awareness events to educate employees, inspire them to invest in the causes they care about, and learn more about the great work of charities in our community and nationwide. We all know that last years have been very challenging when it comes to putting on events, as we have had to quickly learn how to do them virtually, and now we are rolling into this hybrid world. But you're in luck if you are struggling with this, because we have some real subject matter experts who are going to give you their tips for success so that you can carry that into the 2023 campaign. The first half of our session is going to be from the federal agency perspective. And we have Min Cox from the Department of Defense, who will talk about creative in-person events. And then we have Monica Hanson and Debra Gale from the National Institutes of Health, who are going to share their innovative approaches to virtual events. The second half of this session will have tips from Jeff Brown from the United Way of the National Capital Area on how to best partner with charities. And finally, Kristi Kennell from Global Impact will show us the system for requesting charities at your events. So before we dig in, we want to whet your appetite with a short video to show you some of the great activities that Min, Monica, and Debra have put on in the last couple of years. All right, let me introduce to you Ming Cox from the Department of Defense.
Thank you, Curtis. I'm waiting on my slide. Can you go to the first slide, please?
Sorry, technical difficulty got stuck.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you.
I apologize, my computer froze. You're at the first slide now.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon to all of you in the Zoom room. I'm Ming Cox, and I work with Mr. Curtis Rumbaugh. I understand that all of you have busy schedule, but thank you for taking the time to be here. You're here because you care about CFC, and I know you have a lot to contribute to the campaign. As you know, I'll be covering about how to execute an in-person event. And I'd like to remind everybody in this room that you are an event planner. Next slide, please. Can you get there? Thank you. So, you've been selected or volunteered or tricked into planning a CFC event. Now what? That's when you press the calm button right there on the screen. Every event can be successful when you plan and with the team, help with your team, as well as tools and the knowledge. Successful event planner, that's you, have ideas, lots of them. Event plan, and with that creativity comes with the ability to transform the ideas into something tangible. An event planner, that's you again, need to have vision and bring that to life. This is where you develop unique theme or use CFC cause of the week to create decorating solution for your event, just like you've seen on the video. I love theme parties, military ceremonies, weddings, baby showers, you name it. In some capacity, you've hosted one or even probably attended an event, I would imagine. So I'm just going to tell you a personal story. When my dad passed away, we had a service at church and there were not a single dry eye in the room. And then afterwards, we had a reception. At the reception, we served my dad's favorite food with explanation card, floor arrangements for each tables, and we played his favorite music. As the folks were leaving, they thanked mom and I and said, that was the best wedding reception ever. Well, that wasn't a wedding reception. So it was a success event on my end and my mom's eyes because we achieved our goal. We wanted the folks to come to the service and remember how much my dad loved life and not be sad. So think about what you want to achieve when you're hosting an event. It can be anything, charity fair, cook-off, town hall, and so on. What do you want your audience to remember? I'm sure for Charities, it's probably their CFC number. The next slide. Remember, there are multiple components to events, and I know you're not a superhero, so ask your CFC team or get volunteers to help you. There are always volunteers who's eager to help you. You never know what kind of hidden talents you might discover when you ask your coworkers or your next door teammate, whoever around you, or your CFC team. Not to mention what kind of impact you would have when you work with folks with common goals. You never know, so you have to ask. Next slide. So once you get your team together, you want to start brainstorming, figure out the purpose. What and how are you going to achieve this goal? Is it going to be realistic? You should be thinking about display items for the tables to attract attention. You just want to make sure people just come to your table and be like, ask what this is about. And think about what you might have stored in your storage, like Halloween decorations, Christmas decorations, stuff that you might want to throw away or give away. That can be all used for the table displays. Now, you just achieved your goal if you can do that much because you have something to gain attention. Next slide, please. Thank you. So now it's time to get specific with how you want to execute. If you think about it, like I previously mentioned, we are all event planners on different levels. I'll give you another example. This is about my son. For my son's 6th birthday, he wanted a private birthday party. And his birthday was in the month of May. And he also wore a costume that he had for Halloween. So he already had his costume and we were planning a themed event. So guess what? I used whatever I had for my son's birthday party for our first DoD charity fair. And I have a picture of a poster and one of the LE that was assigned to us. And also in December, we hosted, actually Department of Navy and Army hosted Army-Navy charity fair prior to the game on Saturday to get folks' attention. And I wanted to share the picture that's on the screen that shows all the stuff they had out there at the Pentagon Charity Fair. So during the brainstorming phase, think about the theme and the time to determine what would interest your workforce. I hope you are brainstorming about what you're going to do for upcoming campaign right now. And also I have collective images of stuff that was created by the CFC team. And I will put it in the chat room after this. And that shows you, the stuff that was made, like little candies with little information about CFC, little, giveaway baskets. And I'll share that after the brief later. Next slide. So if possible, like I said, tie the theme with upcoming events and take advantage of any gathering. It doesn't matter, big or small. Look for convenient locations, lots of high foot traffic areas. And another thing, if you're doing an event outside, think about inclement weather plans because you don't want to have, if you don't want to plan everything outside and it rains and you have no way to accommodate the charity that's showing up. So think about that. So generally, if you're having a large event, it's probably best that you do it indoors. And also I've listed the event management steps, kind of give you an idea of, the steps you should be thinking about, like deciding a theme, a venue, requesting charities, make sure you request your charities on time, and make sure you have all your external supports, like, make sure you get everybody that's involved, like if you want any music or do you want any graphic support, if you want color guards or whatever that might be. So think about all the external support that you might want to have. And advertise. Make sure you advertise because you don't want to have all this planning and you don't advertise. Next slide. So how are we going to achieve this? This is what I use, a plan of action milestone. This keeps me and my team on track. I use this for everything, literally everything. Since there are multiple components to planning a successful event and the checklist will come in so handy. This is just the example checklist I use for anything, even for my son's birthday party. Believe it or not, I use checklists for literally everything. But if you feel ambitious, you could start planning multiple events. All you need is to keep you on track. So I use this checklist for, if I'm doing multiple events, just to make sure I'm on track. And the timeline, the whole 9 yards. Next slide. So for over a decade, I've been planning events for my military and civilian career, and also on personal level. But regardless how many events I've done, I think of every event or ceremony as a unique. So I want to do my best because I would never get this opportunity again. And that's how I think about anything I do. So if this is your first time, think like you're never going to do another one. So put all your energy into what you want to do, but make sure you follow a checklist. So make sure you have everything that you want and also get volunteers. The volunteer knows what their roles are because you never want to have all the volunteers signing up and they don't know what their roles are. think about it, there are so many moving parts and you're the one orchestrating it. So this will actually help you out. Another checklist. And I can share all this on the chat room when we get done. You are the event planners. So one of the things that I want you to remember is please verify if you're doing events inside the agency, make sure the policy on animals, because we had a case where the service animal were not allowed to come in the building. So just make sure you check on that, because I know everybody loves animals. Next slide. Like I said before, advertise, advertise, advertise. You never want to put all your energy into planning an event and the word's don't get out. Use your emails, calendar invites, leadership emails, use multiple ways to advertise. Maybe use your PAO, however you can get your words out. Word of mouth, flyers, hang out flyers in workspaces, however works. But please remember to advertise, advertise. And most of you might not have graphics department, but I'm sure someone in your department or your CFC team might have creative talent. Ask. They might be able to create a flyer or something like that. Just this is something that was created internally because you might not always have the graphic departments to create something for you to use as an advertisement tool. Next slide. When we come together, it's easy. You can become a professional event planner. On a final note, have fun and take every opportunity to talk about the importance of giving and thank the donors and the charities. Always remember to thank everyone. Now, I will turn it over to Monica. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Min, for that fantastic guidance about having great in-person events. Truly appreciate you. And hello, CFC champions. My name is Monica Hanson, and I am the NIH team and charity lead. I am truly honored to be here with you today and to share some tips about how to build a successful CFC event and the benefits of having a virtual event, whether it's small, medium, or large. As Min mentioned, I know that some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, event, that's so scary, or hesitate because it just seems like all those things that go with the event, the logistics, they can scare anyone sometimes, especially if it's your first one. So please know that one of our goals today is that by the end of this session, and you will feel like you can be inspired to have an event and experience how fun it is to have the event, and also how impactful this can be for your campaign. So we hope that this session inspires you to do that. So let me go back to NIH CFC events before the pandemic. Our CFC events at NIH were always in-person events and known to be well-attended and also very successful. Most of the events that we had at NIH included NIH leadership. Our attendance was anywhere from 300 to 400 people. We had anywhere from 30 to 40 charities representatives at the event, which was great because it made the employees visit all the different representatives and be able to talk to them. We would have a formal program. We would have our NIH director. We had the national anthem. We had a singer usually that was an employee. So everything was kind of elevated. So we thought, how are we going to recreate this and pivot to a virtual environment? So it was challenging, but it was very exciting because we did pivot and did some great things to make sure that our virtual events were successful. One thing that we kept in mind and did not want to not have was leadership involvement and the visibility of leadership involvement, because that is so important and was so important. And that was one of the reasons we were so successful with our events. So what we did was we pivoted and decided to have pre-recorded CFC messages. Our NIH director was very busy at the time, and some of the institute directors also that were involved. So we had them pre-record those messages, and that proved to be a very, very productive tool for us. What we did with those pre-recorded CFC messages were we put them on the NIH CFC website. We also used them for our virtual kickoff, which was live. And since our director wasn't able to be there and the lead institute director wasn't there, we included that with the virtual live kickoff, and it went great. So, and another thing that we also, another tool that we used was the videos. These videos were broadcasted via NIH videocast. So again, we had a live kickoff, and in at that live kickoff, we were able to get the last 3 years, 300 to 500 people signed on the video cast and watched. So we were productive with that, and we were able to pivot it so people would still be able to watch it. Then we included charities. We had 1 to 2 charities. We had the national anthem was sang by our employee. That also elevated things. And last year, we had something that was really unique. We had one of the charities that presented who had a student who had an instrumental version of the national anthem. And that was very exciting, and lots of people enjoyed that. So those were great tools that we used in terms of pivoting and making sure that we still engage people and had those people come back and know about the campaign. And another thing that was neat, it has been really exciting about using the NIH videocast, is that people that can't attend the meeting, they can't attend these big events, they can go back and watch the event. So then, you could still be part of it, the campaign. Another thing is creating a CFC connection. That is so important. So we had to figure out how we pivoted and made sure that employees were still connected with the CFC message, and they were connected with charities, which was so important. So we went back and asked our campaign workers to find out what their colleagues enjoyed. Do they like playing games? Are they animal lovers? And as Min was talking about earlier, just getting them engaged. And people love animals, right? Are they competitive? At NIH, and I'm sure at some of your agencies, oh boy, we have a lot of competitive people. So that was another way to engage them. Are they health conscious? Movie lovers, musicians, performers? Find out fun themes that they might enjoy. Do they like small or large gatherings? Also, what causes they enjoy? Connecting the cause with a CFC charity speaker or a charity video. And we always reminded all our campaign workers and ourselves that the charities are at the heart of the campaign. So we have to connect them when we have those events. And having them at the event, having that charity speaker is powerful. That impact is incredible. It just elevates everything when you have that charity. And if you're not able to have a charity speaker, then use the incredible CFC videos that we have available to us. It is such a great way to inspire those employees to donate. If you do have a charity attend, please go out of your way to make sure that they feel valued and welcome, because they are taking the time to come out and talk to us. Think about your audience. That is really important. Do they enjoy volunteering? Hopefully you were here for the session previously to this, which is so informative, and talked about all those volunteer opportunities. Employees really enjoy knowing about those volunteer opportunities. Sometimes you just have no idea that they are not aware of those volunteer opportunities. So it's a great way to get them involved. There are other employees that rather give that monetary donation. And some like to do both. Also, there are innovative ways to connect with people and with those employees. For us at NIH, it was impressive and very inspiring to see all the innovative ways that our NIH CFC team and campaign workers came up to engage with employees and all the fun virtual events that we had. As you could saw in our video, there were a lot of cool things that came out of the, the virtual events that we had and that were developed as a result of the pandemic. Some of those things we never even had before. And some of those virtual innovative events that were created at NIH were picture pet contests. People love those animals. Pets with costumes contests. And at those, we usually saw that they would have charities that were animal related. And as one of our panelists before was saying, those become very popular. And you can also have those videos. The competitive people love bingo. Oh my gosh, that was so big. Kahoot was another one that people played all the time. Cookie decorating. People decorating. Favorite holiday food and beverages. A simple event as wearing your favorite hat. Just having a short meeting, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, putting in a video and having people wear their favorite hat. People love to show off their colleges, sports, different things that they like to do. Favorite jersey, favorite recipes from leadership. That was a unique one, and people really enjoy learning about all these different recipes from the leadership. Fashion show, fitness events, gingerbread house contest. We had Halloween costume contest, again, that we used the NIH video cast. We had employees join us. Our judges were from NIH leadership. And then we had charities that attended. That was such a huge hit. And one of the best things was that the employees got to dress up, and they also, because it was virtual, they were able to bring their family members. So we had some of those employees who brought family members, and they were part of the fun. So that was really great. Karaoke, people love karaoke. Talent shows, that's another thing. Turkey trot, we had a turkey trot the first year, right around Thanksgiving, and that was a lot of fun. People loved it, so they did it again next year, and they elevated and went to a park, and you still had social distancing, but you were able to watch people in that turkey trot. So again, very innovative and different ways to do it. Another thing was we had employees that decided they wanted to take pictures during the virtual event. And they got really creative, and then they would put it all together and show, the people that might have not been able to attend, or thank people for coming and showing pictures. People love to see pictures of them. And another benefit of virtual meetings is that it removes all the meeting logistics that are involved, the security requirements. So that's another reason why, you could benefit from having a virtual event. And even better, it allows some of those out-of-town charities to be part of the event, because they're able to just join in and, be part of the virtual event. So I hope this information has been helpful for you. I hope that it will ignite passion to host more CFC events, virtual events. And now I would like to pass the baton to my wonderful colleague, Debra Gale, who will share additional information about virtual events. Thank you so much. Debra, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Monica. I'm very respectful of your time. So Man and Monica has shared a lot of information with you in reference to hosting in-person events as well as virtual events. So I'm going to kind of just wrap it up so we can just keep moving on with the program. So basically, to recap, have an action plan. Create some type of an action plan. Like Man has said, you are all event planners, whether you know it or not. You have hosted, you have created, you have some type of event, whether it was small or whether it was large, but just basically just come up with an action plan. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What's the timeline that you have? Who's going to be involved? And you want to make sure that everybody who is involved knows exactly what is going on. Invite the charities to your event, because the CFC is all about the charities. Let's not forget about the charities. They are the ones that we need to invite to these different types of events that we're having. And if this is your first time hosting an event, it doesn't have to be large. Start with a small event and then build your way up. But make sure that you're inviting those charities. And also, I want you to be conscious of the timeline within your particular zone, within your particular area. How long does it take for you to request a charity? We know within the CFC NCA, we have a 14-day timeline. So we know within 14 days, we need to request a charity. But if we're not able to do that, as Monica has mentioned, there are several videos that have already been created by the charities. There are also a lot of success stories. So if you do not have the time to invite a charity, request a charity, at any of your meetings, pop in one of those videos. I believe all the videos are less than 2 minutes. So if you have a small meeting, a small gathering, just pop those videos in. Or if you're having something on a larger scale and you still can't have a video, a charity that's present, grab a bunch of those videos and put them on a continuous loop. So because it's all about raising awareness about the charities and bringing as much donations to those as we can. Bennett also mentioned promote. You must promote the event that you're having. And if you particularly have an event that requires like participation, say, for example, you want to have some type of a contest and you need some participants, you have to promote the event, because one of the things that you do not want to do, you do not want to have a bunch of charities at an event and there's no one there. You want the participation. So go out and use whatever mechanism that you have available, your intranets, because everybody is not going to always read an email. So go out of your way. And I believe I heard someone said, a couple of days ago in one of the presentations, over promote your events. Use whatever mechanisms. I know at NIH, we have outdoor signage. We also have indoor kiosks, banners, flyers, whatever your mechanism is, you want to make sure that you're promoting the event, because you want to be able to generate some excitement. Because look at your campaign workers, work with your campaign workers, and whatever your structure is, we have campaign managers, we also have coordinators, and we also have key workers. We want to get all of them involved, because when they're involved, we know that we're going to have a successful event. So last thing I'm going to leave with you is, I don't want this to be overwhelming for you. Start small if you have to, until you can make your events as grand as you want them to be. You gotta have fun. You have to have fun with these events. Don't make them so stressful for you. So I hope that some of the things that that Min and Monica has already shared will help you as you start thinking about the events, whether you're doing all in person or whether you're doing virtual or whether you're going to this hybrid. Make sure that everybody is involved. Make sure that you promote, because we have from September 1 to January the 15th, 2024 to make this happen. So thank you guys for the opportunity just to be able to share some of the exciting things I know that DOD is doing and some of the exciting things that NIH is doing. So now I have the privilege and the honor of welcoming Beth Gunter from EarthShare to say some few words. Take it over, Beth.
Thank you so much, Debra. As Debra said, I am Beth Gunter, and I am the Program Director of Campaigns at EarthShare, which is actually one of the federations in the CFC. And before I start a little bit, I do want to thank Min, Debra, and Monica for their presentations and dedication to the CFC. All three of them have years of CFC experience and have created a well-oiled machine for events that greatly benefit their agency, charities, and the CFC. As they stated, charities are an integral part of the CFC. Charities rely heavily on the donations that the CFC provides to fulfill their missions. Events are a great opportunity for charities to offer federal employees information about the important work their organization is doing, as well as help educate employees on the services they provide and volunteer needs. Having charities at your events also increases employee engagement around the CFC. Charities are here to help you make the CFC a success, and we welcome any opportunity to connect with federal employees and talk about the importance of CFC. Our next presenter is Jeff Brown. Jeff is the manager of public sector giving with the United Way of the National Capital Area, and Jeff has decades of CFC and charity experience. And he will provide you all with some amazing tips on how to maximize charity participation, as well as make your events more engaging, which in turn helps increase donations to charities throughout the CFC. And so now, Jeff, take it away.
Thank you very much, Beth, and thank you, everybody. It is quite an honor to have been asked to present today, being with Min, Debra, and Monica, three Hall of Fame CFC folks. It is really a pleasure. So thank you for having me here. Some of you that may have heard me speak in the past will hear this opening line. You may groan, but I say it because it's true. Beth just said I've been here for decades, and that is the case. My first role with the CFC was literally a role. I was an extra in the 1989 National CFC film. And since then, I've edited the films, I produced them. I worked for our local CFC NCA for 4 years. And for the past 13 or 14 years, I've worked in the federation field, helping charities navigate the CFC process and make things better for them and make things better overall for the CFC in general. Can you move up a couple slides, please? One more, please. There we go. Now, one question you might have, or why do the charities want to come to these events? What's their motivation? Well, there's really three reasons. And number one is the most obvious. They want to connect with potential donors. They want to meet people. They want to let them know about the organization and hopefully get somebody to write their 5 numbers down on a pledge card or enter it through the giving portal. Also, it helps us build a volunteer base. A lot of schools, a lot of houses of worship, social groups and stuff are looking for volunteer activities and come into the charity fairs, meeting us. If we're an organization that has volunteer opportunities, it's a great way to connect with them. And then lastly, we are in the business as a nonprofit. All of our missions are out there to help people, to help animals, to help causes. And we want to build awareness of what we have to offer. So when we come and speak or at a charity fair, we get to meet people and let them know about our organization. And many times they're not aware of what we're doing. And they'll say, well, you know, I have a family member or a neighbor or a coworker or a friend, whoever it may be, that really needs help in that line of whatever you're doing. So it does connect us and it helps us help the community. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go too in depth in this because Kristi's going to come on right after me and give you an example of how you get charities to come, you know, what the process is to get charities to come to your event. You know, basically, in a nutshell, you establish the date and time you want to have it. You enter your information into the system. That generates an invitation that goes out to the nonprofits. It's random generated. So it goes out to everybody that wants to be included in the process. The charities get the invitations. They RSVP. The lucky ones are the ones that get the spots. And then you're provided the names of the charities and the contact there once that's been determined. And so what I'm asking you is that you reach out to us sooner rather than later. You know, after a day or two, depending on when your event is, you know, let us know the additional details. A lot of the organizations, a lot of the charities in the CFC are smaller. I don't want to say necessarily mom and pop, but there are plenty of mom and pop nonprofits out there. And the sooner they hear about the details and what they need, the sooner they can go about planning on who goes and what they need to bring and on and on. So the sooner you get in contact with us, the easier it makes it for everybody. Next slide, please. Now, what do we need when you contact us? You know, another obvious thing is we need your name and your contact information. But also we ask if you could provide your cell phone number. And the reason is we're not going to call you up on Thursday night and talk to you. What we want to have this cell phone number is because occasionally we'll go to an event and we'll get to the guard station and they'll have no record. We won't be on the list. For some reason, something's fallen through the crack. And then they'll call you at your workstation, at your desk. More than likely, you're not going to be there that morning or that afternoon of the day of the event because you're down in the atrium or the auditorium or a cafeteria, wherever you're hosting your event, getting things ready. So if we have that as just an additional way of getting a hold of you in case something goes wrong when we show up, that would be helpful. Arrival and departure times, let us know what time you want us to show up. If the event starts at 10, do you want us to get there at 9 or 9:15, 9:30, whatever? Just let us know. As well as what time you'd like us, the event ends and what time you'd like us to start packing up. A lot of these federal buildings are huge. There's many points of entry. Let us know the correct one. So, we're not dragging around our tablecloths and all the other stuff that we're bringing with us. This makes it a little easier on us. Any parking or metro information. If your building provides parking, great. If not, just let us know if there's a lot nearby or if there's street parking or if there's a nearby metro. Next slide, please. And then to go back on parking, and this applies a lot more to DoD agencies. They need a lot of information. So if there are certain requirements that are needed, like the make of our car, our license plate number, color of our car, you name it, let us know and we'll be happy to get that to you. Personal information. Once again, this is leans more to the DoD side, especially at the Pentagon, where certain information is needed from the attendee. Social security number, date of birth, etc. Once again, just let us know. We'll be happy to get it to you. One thing about the social security numbers, though, a lot of people are leery about sending their social security number via email. So be prepared to let us call and give it to you over the phone if that's okay. We've talked about animals already. I put this in there because we have an organization that deals with emotional support animals. And I can guarantee you as the sun will rise in the east, if I get an invitation for this agency, the first thing I'm going to hear back is, are animals allowed? Because she likes to bring animals to events. And to be honest, if your animals are allowed to come to your event, get them there. People love animals there. It gets more people to come. Expected size of the audience. We need to know, in ballpark numbers, so we know how much pamphlets or giveaway items to bring. You might not know, but just if you don't know, then don't just say I'm not sure, and that's fine. We'll make do. But if you have an idea, that does help us. And let me also speak right now on a side note on that expected size of the audiences. I know at United Way of the National Capillary, and I know the vast majority of our partners and other nonprofits that are part of the CFC, it doesn't matter if you are a giant agency or if you're a small federal agency. We want to be there. We know that really all it takes is a connection with 2 or 3 people to come when we come. If we do that, then our day is a success. So if you're a smaller agency, don't feel like, oh, I don't know if I can have a big charity fair or whatever. Have what you can have. Charities will come and they'll be grateful for the work and the effort that you put out. And also theme. Contrary to popular belief, nonprofit people are fun. We like to have fun just as much as anybody. If you're having a Halloween theme and you're encouraging people to come in costume, or it's funny hat theme, or it's a football kickoff theme and you want people to wear jerseys, let us know. A lot of us will be happy to come dressed in that theme and to play along and be a part of the fun. Next slide, please. Couple real quick tips. If you're planning an event, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are normally the best day. That's when normally you're going to have most people either on site or online. If you're having something in the morning, consider having it in a location where you're catching people as they're coming in. A main entrance, an entrance where people are coming in from Metro, whatever it may be. If you're having a lunchtime event, considering having where there's going to be a lot of foot traffic, maybe going to your cafeteria or by an exit that goes to a food court or where people go out to get a bite to eat. And then lastly on this slide, invite executive leadership. Executive leadership is important on many levels. Having their support, having their buy-in is critical to running a successful campaign. But having executive leadership at your event, speaking at your event, or showing up, just walking through the charity fair is helpful because a lot of the really, really big federal agencies, Interior, Commerce, Transportation, people that work there, they never get to see the Secretary of Commerce if you work at Commerce. But if you know they're going to be there and they're going to speak at this event, they're more likely to come because, hey, I'm going to get to see this person. If it's a DOD location, an admiral or a general, the same kind of thing. People really will come to your event. You get a bigger crowd if you have somebody of note there speaking. Next slide, please. Virtual events, Debra just kind of went over a lot of the things. It's a great way to connect with federal employees. I love the virtual events. And to reiterate on kind of what I said earlier, it gives me a better chance to connect. If it's a big charity fair, it's great. I'm meeting a lot of people. I'm giving them our literature. It works out fine. But to be able to speak virtually, I get 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at times to speak and to really give the case about my my nonprofit that I work for. So virtual events are great. And then if you are having a virtual event, consider spacing out the presenters. Some of the best virtual events I've seen are in NIH and in others where there's been like a talent show where somebody will play a piano and a guitar and sing whatever else. But if you have a charity in between each of these, or if it's a pumpkin carving contest or whatever it may be, if you have a charity speaker in between each one of these, that really spaces things out and keeps people online because they want to also see who won the contest and they want to see their coworkers sing and dance, whatever they may do. And then also consider, it's really not really an event per se, but if you can, during a weekly or bi-weekly departmental meeting, see if you can schedule a nonprofit to speak, just one for 2 or 3 minutes at the head. It builds awareness for the campaign, and it also builds awareness for whatever that nonprofit is. Next slide, please. I'm getting to the end here, so I want to be conscious of Kristi's time as well. It's just, she can give you the demo, but I know at United Way of the National Capital Area, and I know many of my Federation partners and friends do the same. We prepare our nonprofits to attend these events. We give them guidance. We're the conduit many times between campaign managers and themselves. We make them aware of event rules. There's no solicitation. A charity can't come and put a bowl out and take money. They can't sell a book from their CEO or a DVD or anything like that. They cannot collect names or addresses. They can't put out a clipboard and say, hey, if you want to be on our mailing list, put your name and your email down. If they take a card from somebody there and contact them on their own, that's fine. But they can't put out a name, collecting names and addresses. And they can't come to events they're not invited to. If you run across any of these situations, let that charity know, and then also let your outreach coordinator know about it afterward. If that charity's in a federation, they'll let us know, and we'll let them know that it was inappropriate, and if it happens again, they won't be invited anymore. If it's an independent, the outreach coordinator will contact them individually and let them know the same thing. We let them know that at times they have to share table space, and most importantly, we let them know that they're not there just representing their organization, they're representing the entire CFC. Next slide, please. Some of the ideas of putting the fun in fundraising, a football themed kickoff. It is in the fall, it works out perfectly. Halloween's always great. Department of Agriculture has always done a great fall festival, and then field days, indoor office golf. If you have a basketball court nearby, if somebody can bring a cornhole and you do something during lunch, those are fun activities. Generates a lot of people coming to your event. Next slide, please. Debra mentioned it, promotion. There's an old adage in the campaign world. The number one reason people don't give is because they weren't asked. And my adage is the two reason is they don't give because they weren't aware of the campaign. Take advantage of the CFC toolkit. It is excellent. It's on givecfc.org. There are plenty of things on there. The background I have that and Curtis and so forth have the CFC behind us. I got that from there. There's plenty of clip art you can use for posters. There's email templates, you name it. It's great. And then signage. If you can put up CFC signs in break rooms, halls, monitors, whatever it may be, please do that. And then last slide, please. This is my favorite part. This is where I get to say thank you. Thank you to people that have been out there and been doing this in the past. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think I can speak for all the federations, and I know I can speak for all of our nonprofits under the United Way umbrella. And I believe I can speak for all the participating CFC agencies that are in the campaign, how much we appreciate the work you do. Because without the work you do, we can't do what we do. We can't help people. So thank you very much. If you're new to this, thank you on the front end. Thank you for what you're going to do. And lastly, but not leastly, if there's anything you take away from today, know that your outreach coordinators, your CFC friends, myself, and the others are here to help you. Please reach out to us. We're happy to help, and we want you to succeed. And thank you once again for all you do.
Thank you so much, Jeff. That was some great information. Our next presenter is Kristi Kennell. Kristi is the Associate Program Manager with Global Impact, and we'll be discussing the process of how to request charities for events. Kristi?
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Beth. Okay, so I'm going to talk about charity events, which I know everyone is ready to hear about and how this works. So today I'm going to go over how the process works, the randomization of charities, a few new additions we have added to the charity request process, and lastly, a few tips for when you are ready to submit a charity request to the charity relations teams. So charity event management is a semi-automated process which takes place within CFC support. Now, CFC support is a system built and managed by the Centralized Common Services Support Team, or CCSS as we call it for short, which is the team I represent today. The charity invitation process is very simple. An agency submits a request for charities via the online charity request form. Depending on the zone, the charity relations team uses a randomizer built within CFC support to randomly select charities. CFC support system then sends out invitations to the designated number of charities requested, and then the charity relations teams will monitor all charity RSVPs and continue to process more invitations as needed. So as noted on the slide and mentioned earlier this week in training, there is a quick turnaround for the RSVP process. Unfortunately, this is not something we can change due to the nature of obtaining charities for these responses. So the 48-hour window that's mentioned above on the slide allows for invitations to be sent out in a timely manner and not put any events on hold, waiting on responses until the event is closed. But the one thing that I would like to point out too is the 48-hour window is just for the team to be able to manage sending invitations. If you need longer than 48 hours to obtain, especially for federations, if you need to, obtain a different charity, or someone can't make it, things like that, you can take longer. don't hesitate to go back into that invitation and click RSVP if it's past the 48 hours. If the event is full at that time, you will receive an email stating as such, and that you've been put on a wait list. So the invitation does not expire after 48 hours. It just means in 48 hours, we're going to send out more invitations if our event is not full yet. So that's all that 48-hour window is for. We wanted to make sure charities knew that you can still click that RSVP until the event is closed, and you will be notified depending on the way you have RSVP'd. Another note we would like to make, if you get an invitation and you are unable to attend, please go ahead and go in and click the RSVP and select no. Oftentimes we have a lot of invitations that are sitting there waiting. And so that kind of creates a backlog as well. Please let us know either way, yes or no, you're going to be able to attend. That's very helpful for the charity relations teams processing those invitations. So this will bring us to the last step in the process, which is charities who RSVP yes will receive a confirmation email. And again, notice once the event is full, if you RSVP yes, you'll just receive that notification that the event is full and we've added you to the wait list. The wait list sits in the system, and if for some reason a charity has to cancel last minute, or even a few days before, this allows the charity team to go in, or the charity relations team to go in and look at that wait list, see who's the first on that list, and reach out to that charity directly to say, hey, we've had a cancellation. Are you still able to attend this event? And then they can work their way down through the list to make sure that that event is filled. I would also like to mention, as Jeff mentioned earlier, the requester will receive the final list of the charities, and please don't forget to reach out to those charities. They are looking forward to hear from you and introduce yourself as that agency representative. Also, the charity request form collects all the information Jeff went over on his slides. And then all that information is provided to the charities within that invitation. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, so how does the randomization process work? The charity relations teams for MPMA and Tribal Tech, they use parameters set by the requester when processing charity requests within CFC support. So the requester is going to be that CFC agency representative, campaign worker who is planning and hosting an event at their agency. This year, at the request of multiple charities, charities are being asked to opt in to receive invitations to events once they are approved through for CFC participation. And this helps the system understand if you are available for selection when randomization occurs. So for example, if you are in a multi-state zone, you will be able to choose the state and counties you are willing to travel to when attending events. So we have a few zones that cover multiple states, and sometimes depending on where you are as a charity, it may be 2 or 3 hours worth of a drive to get to the event. So you're going to be charities, when you opt in to attend events, then we are building a new form right now. You're going to opt in, and then you get to select within your zone which counties you are able to participate in. And then when the requester sends in a charity request, the system will match up the location of that event. And when the randomization process happens, the system will know on the back end that you have already said you can travel to this location. So how this works is the randomizer processes 6 key parameters when selecting charities. It uses the charity type, so whether you're local, national, or international, the number of charities the agency has requested, 1 cause area or 1 cause week requested, additional geographic location information, as mentioned earlier, state and county, and then a language preference if there's any. So the last 3 mentioned are new parameters we have added this year based off of feedback from both charities and agencies. that we are implementing this year. So agencies will be able to not only choose a cause area, but they can now choose a cause week, as we kind of know those don't match up sometimes. So next slide, please. Okay, let's take a quick look at the additions I've been mentioning. Feedback indicated the cause areas don't always line up with the cause of the week. So agencies can now choose one cause of the week and one cause area when requesting charities. Charities will be invited in that opt-in option to select up to 3 cause weeks aligning with their mission. Your cause areas are already chosen through the taxonomy when you sign up to participate in the CFC. We also heard the need for selecting the geographical parameter. This also came from Charities. Agencies will now need to select the state and county in which the event will take place when submitting requests. This will be part of the process of the charity request system. And then lastly, we have heard from Charities that there is a need for Spanish speaker. We've heard from agencies there's a need for Spanish speakers. So agencies can now request charities who can support a Spanish speaker. And in the opt-in form, charities will be able to select they are able to support Spanish speaking events. So now we're going to go to the next slide and we're going to look at a few tips for requesting charities. And in order to have a successful charity request process, we encourage you to follow these steps. We only have a few, but they are important. Number one is, do you have all your ducks in a row? So Jeff mentioned a little bit of this earlier. Think about the date and time, your technology support on your end at the agency. And what about leadership? Do you have all ethics and or legal approvals that you need? We often see submissions that are canceled sometimes even after the invitation process has started because the necessary approvals were not in the process or acquired prior to making the charity request. So please make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Number two is a big one. Due to formatting issues, this happened quite a bit last year. When you copy and paste any information into the charity request web form, it will often fail to relay into CFC support. So if you are copying, pasting from a document that maybe you have set aside that you're just going to copy and paste that information into the required fields in the form, please use the paste as plain text option. Now, we do not guarantee this will work. Some of our tests have worked and some of them have not. So our best practice to you is do not copy and paste into the web form. But if you are going to do that, please use the copy as plain text. That seemed to be the best way to get the information to come through. But again, it did not always come through. So the best bet is just don't copy and paste. So this will bring us to the last one, number 3. If the web form submits correctly, you will receive a confirmation email with the information you entered confirming your submission. This can happen right away, or it could take up to 20 minutes depending on where the system is sitting in its cycle. So the system runs an update every 15 minutes. So everything sits in a queue until it processes. So if you're on the last end of that 15 minutes, when you click submit, you may get that right away. If you're at the very beginning of that process, it may be 20 minutes before you get that confirmation email. So if you haven't, by the end of the day that you submit your charity request, received a confirmation, please reach out to your charity relations team because they can double check with us and we can try to go in and find it and see if it just got stuck somewhere, have it resent to you, or if the process was the form just didn't go through. We can double check that for everybody through your charity relations teams. Okay, so that's it for me. I'm going to turn it back over to Beth.
Thank you so much, Kristi, for that really great presentation breaking down the event system. So thank you. I also, just on a quick note, I want to thank all of our presenters today for giving us some amazing event best practices and ideas. And on behalf of all the charities in the CFC, we want to specifically thank all of you for attending this training today. The CFC would not be successful without your hard work and dedication. If you have any more questions, reminder that we will immediately have a Q&A session starting on this Zoom link as soon as we're done here. And it's going to, if you have any questions related to the volunteer section that was prior to this training, as well as events, and there was also be a demo of the CFC giving system. So we hope to see you there. And with that, this session wraps up and we head into the Q&A section. So thank you all again for attending and to our presenters today.
Thank you, Beth. This is Elizabeth Carey. I'm speaking to you from Set Rock. We will open up all rooms. As Beth mentioned, the one related to events will take place in this very main room. And the Expanding Your Volunteerism, as well as the CFC Given System demo, will be in the breakout rooms. We will open those rooms now. It will be available for 15 minutes with an additional 60-second countdown. You are free to hop in and out of rooms to ask your questions or listen in, so you don't have to remain in the room for 15 minutes. If you are having trouble as to how to access these rooms, you would simply go to your toolbar. You will see a more button, either whether it's at the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen. And under that more button, you will see the options to join a breakout room once they open. Okay, so I will do that now, and I will be here in the main room if anyone has any trouble navigating. Okay, the rooms have been open and you should see those options now to join a breakout room. And again, if you have questions for this session that just ended, feel free to start asking your questions.
Hi. Hi, this is Stephanie Petway. I have a question. You said something about we're supposed to check out that we want to opt into attending events. Is that somewhere on the application once it comes through? I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to do that because I don't remember doing that.
Stephanie, I'm glad you asked that. I did forget to mention that this will be a separate email that comes directly from the national marketing team once all the lists are available to them to send the email out. So it will be coming probably late August, and then again they will probably push another one out in the beginning of September. So this opt-in has not been released yet. It'll happen once all the lists of charities are available to national marketing.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So there were a few questions that were in the chat that I don't think that we got to. One was a question about, is a legal review done before every event is executed? And I'll say from my experience, we have put forward a memo to our ethics officers saying, every time we do a charity fair, it's going to have the following elements. Do we need to receive a review to each one? And the answer is no. As long as you stay within these guidelines, we approve you moving forward. But if we add any additional elements in there, then we would have to go back to our legal counsel. So that's an agency by agency type of situation. And you definitely should talk to your ethics officer so you don't end up getting in trouble doing something with the best of intentions but violates a rule at your agency. There was another question about, for DoD organizations, is there an operations order published in order to get military support for events? So Mid, do you want to talk about, getting the musicians to attend the charity fairs?
Curtis, I'm sorry, my computer is going in and out. What was the question? Can you repeat that?
It was about how you get the military support at DoD events.
Oh, for the military band members and stuff like that. So each of the service has a band support that we can tap into. And I don't know, I can send it to the presenter because I mean, depending on what service you're trying to tap into, it's different POCs that you would have to contact. But there's a form and POC that's on the form, which I can send out after this meeting.
Perfect. Thank you. Beth, did you see any other questions that we weren't able to get to?
We're getting a lot of questions around when is more information going to be coming out to charities as well as federations on what the event process will look like, as well as when they can sign up. So I'm wondering if Kristi has a kind of a timeline of what they're looking at when that information will be released.
I do not have a specific date for you. The system is being upgraded and updated right now. Currently, it will be open, should be open by, of course, by September 1st, hopefully a little bit earlier than that. But I imagine more training for federal employees on how to use the system will be coming from charity relations teams, from MPMA and Tribal Tech. And then charity relations, if they're reaching out to charities to provide any additional training on that as well, I'm not sure.
And
this is sorry, Beth, this is Victoria.
No, go ahead.
I'm with the national marketing team as well. And I just want to kind of reiterate, we can't send out any notices to charities or for them, you know, are you interested in participating in events and which region can you participate? We can't do any of that until the charity list has been finalized. So until that is done, I think the OC's hands, you know, both local zone and the national marketing OC hands are kind of tied. That charity list has to be finalized and all charities have to be notified before we can start making some contact.
thank you for that, Victoria. Any other questions that we might have missed in the chat? Please feel free to unmute yourself. Right. I guess we're going to have some great events this year. Do we want to see if someone wants to go in other breakout rooms, or how would you like to do this, Curtis?
Yeah. Why don't we, if nobody has any questions, then we'll go ahead and conclude this session. You still have time if you want to jump into one of the other breakout rooms using the toolbar, you know, list here at the top and the bottom. We do the volunteerism one and the CFC giving system demo. But I do see a hand go up. All right, Christine.
Yes, hi, thank you. Curious, and I apologize if this was already discussed, but where can we find, once the list of charities is finalized, where will we be able to find a list, calendar of events and charity weeks, cause weeks, that sort of thing?
Victoria, do you want to speak to that?
If you just monitor the website as well, the givecfc.org website, there's a full charity page on there with all types of resources that are available to you as a charity, and they'll have information there on how to get engaged, how to participate, best practices, frequently asked questions, all of those types of things will be on there. And so you can find information there about how to engage on events. And then again, once the charities are, once that final list is approved and everyone's notified, you'll receive an email from the national marketing team asking you, you know, what region you're in, what regions you can participate in. Are you interested in virtual events, in-person events? Just ensure that your email is correct and up to date in the system so that that email from national marketing goes to the right place and that you receive it and that you click on it and answer those questions so you can get involved this year.
Wonderful, thank you. And then just one follow-up question. And again, I apologize if this has already been covered, but do you have a sense of how many in-person and how many virtual events will happen, or is that still TBD?
You want me to go, Curtis, again, or?
Yeah, and I'll jump on at the end.
Okay, so just as a local zone outreach coordinator, we're hoping for more in-person events. We know that they work really well. We're trying to get as creative as we can with virtual events, and we've had some really successful virtual events, but we know that people want to get in front of people. We know people want to come together and have some fun and engage with each other and be able to make their pledges. So we're hoping, all I can say is that as the workforce returns to the workplace, we're hoping that there are more in-person events happening this year.
And I'll add, so Min and I are from DoD, Department of Defense, and last year we were more in person than we were virtual. This year we expect to go much further on the needle towards the in-person events, but there are many federal agencies that are still predominantly telework. And as Monica and Debra had shared in their presentation, the virtual events do have a lot of perks to them, because you are able to get a lot more people in front of you than you would at an in-person event. So don't turn down opportunities for virtual events if those do pop up.
Thank you.
Hi, I thought of a quick question, if I may, if you still have time.
Yes.
My name is Courtney, and I'm one of the charities that has been part of this for 3 years, and just still learning the process. And I know some things that we're going to work on our end, but just one of my questions and challenges we had last year was that 48-hour turnaround that the charities have to RSVP for the events. And I know some of those, we are a Monday through Friday charity. So some of those invitations were coming in like on Friday in the afternoon or Friday evening and Saturday and Sunday. And we just couldn't jump on those. And so I didn't know, has anything changed from, I think I shared this feedback last year, and was curious if any of that has changed. If not, then we'll do our best.
I can answer this one. I mentioned earlier that 48-hour process has not changed. We are unable to increase that due to the invitation process. So the invitation doesn't expire.
You know, you can
Deanne, can you silence yourself, please? Deanne Cox.
Okay, sorry about that. So the invitation doesn't expire. We give the 48-hour window just so the charity relations teams every 48 hours, they will send out a new set of invitations, especially if the event is not filled yet. The invitations do not expire. So even if you come in on a Monday and you've had invitations sitting over the weekend, you can still respond to those if the event is already full, which can happen. Events tend to fill very quickly. So if it is not full, you'll get in, but if it is full, you'll receive that the event, a message stating the event was full, but you've been added to the wait list. So please don't not respond to the RSVP after 48 hours. Please try to get in there and do it, because if the event is not full, you will get in. And there are a handful of events sometimes that they're, -1 charity that was requested. But for the most part, all events are completely filled. But yes, please still get in there. But the 48-hour window, we cannot change, or it just stops the process, and we'll have an event that's not filled because we stopped and waited for all of the invitations that were already sent to be processed. So that's just not possible to change that.
Any last questions? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna thank you all again for being part of this. You will get the videos, you get all the handouts, you'll get the chat, everything that you're gonna need to plan out your campaign for the year will be sent to you either Friday or at the beginning of next week. And we will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern for the last sessions for this week. So thank you and have a wonderful evening, everyone.